Good morning, and welcome to this episode of Awaken the Leader. Today, we're going to talk about the challenge of time. Last week, we talked about self care and balance and how important it was in your life to have that balance between work life and home life or play life or whatever you want to call it, and how difficult it can be to actually segment that so that we are actually doing extreme self-care. And I do have to say that with the COVID-19 virus being a huge part of our lives right now, it's very important for us to concentrate, to focus on extreme self-care, doing things for ourselves that get us out of the stress of working our job or our business every day, 24 hours a day. You do know that we only have 24 hours in a day. You'd think that that would be enough time to get everything done that you'd planned to get done. I can tell you that I have what I think is the greatest planning system in the world. It's from PlannerPads. And it starts out with a global look at what are all the things that I have responsibility for. For example, there are personal items. There are things that have to do with my book, things that have to do with Awaken the Leader, things with Toastmasters, things with my husband's business, and those are all across the top. I then look at, on a day-to-day basis, what are the activities that I need to accomplish during those days? And so I write them all down and everything else. And then the last piece that they have are, well, what appointments do you have? Because appointments definitely take up time and they take time away from getting things done. At least that's what I found. Right now, because of the pandemic, I am doing everything on Zoom, nothing face to face. And the fact that we just, again, closed down indoor dining, we're not doing that either. I have a calendar that looks absolutely crazy, yet I know what's happening and who I'm talking to and what I'm talking to them about. And I get really excited about going into Zoom and picking up a conversation with someone that maybe I started a week ago or a couple of days ago or whatever. I also love the fact that we're doing training and education on Zoom. While you miss the camaraderie and you miss being around your peeps, it is still a very, very efficient and effective way to do training. Everyone gets the training at the same time, obviously. You can still do discussions. You can do breakout rooms. You can do virtually everything that you can do in the classroom except stand up close to your participants. And for right now, that's okay. That's okay. What I find for me is that I'm doing 6 to 10 Zoom calls a day. And they, like I said, they vary between mentoring calls and catch-up calls and training calls, meetings, everything under the sun. And yes, I'm tired at the end of the day, but I have to say that there's a bit and a spark of jubilance that I got a chance to talk to all of these people in one day. I find, though, that many of my tasks, because of that, keep getting moved down the week until I get to the weekend, which is where I really want to spend time with my husband and my dog, Connor, of course. Unfortunately for both of us, there's not always that block of time on the weekend where we can spend quality time. And the question is, if we're sheltering in place, where can we go? Can we go to the woods? Can we go down to Monterey? Can we go up to the redwoods or up to the wineries? Where can we go? And the answer is it's very limited. We try then to at least take a walk around the apartment complex with masks on, of course, or out into the community whatever it might be. There are some stores down about a block from us, and we'll go down and we'll walk around there, or we'll cross the freeway and walk over there. Something to get us out in nature. So what am I saying to you about time? Time can be either your friend or your enemy. It's all in your perspective of time. One of the activities that I have my classes do is to take a paper plate and to take Post-its of many different sizes, shapes, configurations, colors, whatever it might be. And to start when you wake up in the morning and to write out every activity that you do during the day. That includes things like taking a shower, washing your hair, brushing your teeth, taking your medications, doing your hair, makeup, getting dressed, having breakfast. No bundling of tasks. Every unique individual task that you do during the day gets written up. What I find is that plate gets pretty full pretty quickly, and there are still some things out here that you need to put on the plate because they're important and or they have priority in what you need to get done that day. Where do you put them? And remember that you can't go to the bank and order more time. Your time bank only has so much time. So the question becomes, do I extend my day in order to get them done? Or do I put them on to the next day? And how many days can I keep pushing this off before it actually gets done? I've had people do this exercise and I could watch the light bulbs go on. They began to see where in their day they were either wasting time or they were heavily interrupted. You know that interruptions are your biggest enemy in time because you have to stop what you're doing. You have to concentrate on the person or the activity that has popped up, be that your phone, social media, email, persons walking in your door, whatever it is. You have to look up or whatever and shift your mindset to that new interruption. You complete that, and then it takes you a minute or two to get back to where you were before. And I know for me, sometimes if I get interrupted, I won't go back to it. And I wonder at the end of the day, how come I didn't get done? What happened? And I can look back and see, oh, this is where I was interrupted and I never came back to it. So there are things like that, that if you're conscious of the interruptions, you can chunk your time. You can block out time. Time for your staff, time for your family, time for yourself, as well as time for the activities that you need to get done during the day. And that reduces the interruptions. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to get rid of all of your interruptions and you'll never be interrupted again. That's just not reality. But you can minimize them and you can put them at a time when you're going to be best. So if you have a colleague who always has questions on an activity or something that they're working on, schedule a time with them. Maybe it's in the early afternoon before the end of the day to say, hey, let's go over what your questions are and answer them so that you're ready for the next day. Or you could actually do that in the morning before they actually get started and see what came in from the night before and what you can help them with on that particular day. So there are a lot of different ways to reduce the interruptions. Of course, we have the time wasters, which we've talked a bit about, which is, oh, I'm only going to spend 5 minutes on Facebook. And a half hour later, you're still there. Or LinkedIn, or Instagram, or any of the other social media platforms. Where I get lost is in email, because I get quite a few. And that's a question of, okay, I'm deleting, and then I do have some I have to read, and there's some I have to answer, and all of that. Those can be time wasters. So what I try to do, and I'm not always successful, but I try, is to have a space of time in the morning where I look at the emails and answer and handle. I do the same thing right after lunch, and then I do it again just before I leave the office. And that seems to minimize the interruptions, and so that I can have blocks of time to work on important tasks, decisions, whatever it might be. I also find, and this was taught to me in time management, that if you break down what you have to do into bite-sized pieces, then you can also almost always slip in, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of that activity and move it forward. And then when you have a large block of time that you need to do to finish it, you schedule that in your appointments. And you make an appointment with yourself that says, I'm going to do this here. These Facebook Lives are in my calendar every Thursday morning between 8 and 8:30. So I know it's there. I know I'm going to do it, and nothing interrupts that. I did not get involved in Facebook. I did not get involved with my email, which is so easy for us to do. I got here, got my tea, and then promptly went on to film this Facebook Live. There are things like that that you can do to help you manage the results of your time. And I think that's the most important thing for you to remember, is what you want to do with your time is to manage the results, to get things done in the time frame that you need to get them done. And then at the end of the day, you can wash your hands, go home and do something absolutely fabulous. Cook an outstanding meal. Spend time with your family. I know I love spending time with my husband and my dog, as I've told you. And so having those evenings are very, very special for me. I'm going to ask you a question. What shiny objects do you get distracted with? What squirrels do you go chasing because they look interesting? And what interruptions take time away from those things that you need to, want to, have to accomplish in the day? Take a look at today. Write down everything that you do today and just take a look at, where are you spending your time? Is it in activities that move your business forward, that move your relationships forward, or are you in shiny object syndrome and really not getting anything accomplished? Thank you so very much. And we'll see you next week on Tuesday with the whole crew together, talking about our next subject. Signing off. Be courageous. Dare to lead. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.